Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome to the season finale of Jacob Walks Over a Bridge. I'm Jacob. I'm currently walking over a bridge, and this is a bit bittersweet. This will be the last episode for the foreseeable future for a number of reasons, which I will go into. It's a cold and misty day here on the Queensboro Bridge on a day in late April. A little bit unseasonably chilly, but at this moment I'm currently warming my fleece. And after having walked for about 30 minutes, I walked about a block away from my apartment starting this journey, and then I realized I forgot to bring athletic shorts with me for a softball game, which may or may not still be on. But I went back anyway, got the shorts, so I got some extra steps in. And now I'm on the bridge. It's a little bit later. I won't get to see some of my favorite people on the bridge, unfortunately, it seems. By favorite people, I just mean that guy who just rides that little motorbike with the mustache and the angry face. So I won't be able to see him, unfortunately, but I'm sure I'll see some other interesting people, and I'll let you know if I do. But yeah, this is the last one for a little while. Well, first off, I did finally find an apartment. Woo! And it's not in Queens. Going to the Upper East Side of Manhattan. It happened, yeah. It was a lot of real estate decisions that just seem to happen spontaneously or in the spur of the moment. You go see a place for 5-10 minutes and then you're like, boom, this is where I want to live for the next year. It takes only 5 minutes to decide that sort of thing, which seems crazy. There should be a lot more involved in that. I saw the apartment I'm going to be in for about 10 minutes, and then the whole process took about 2 weeks. Because I talked to one realtor who had me fill out a form, and then I talked to the grandson of the landlord who got me to fill out a form. And then the grandson of the landlord told me to contact another realtor, a second realtor, who took a week to get to. And then, had to fill out more of the form that I already filled out because they wanted more information than they initially wanted. And then I saw the landlady. I got a grand visit. We went to a hotel lobby, got to sit with her, nice old lady. Got to tell her what I do. Don't have any pets, it's just me. She just wanted to make sure I had a pretty face. And then, after about a whole 2-week process, I got the apartment. I got the call, and it's been all hands on deck ever since. Signed the lease papers last night. It's exciting. It's a whirlwind. This was, compared to the Sunnyside adventure, which I explained in an earlier episode, this was so very drawn out. The other one, it was a week. Saw the place on a Monday, and then by the next Sunday, we were already moving in. This is definitely a little more drawn out than that was, for better or for worse. It's nice not to have to rush these things, but a little sense of urgency would have been nice. But it's over for the moment. I just need the keys. That's the last thing I need. I'm supposed to pick them up imminently, but yeah, I'm moving to Queens. I'm moving to Manhattan, sorry. Don't know how many bridges I'll be able to cross while I'm in Manhattan. Maybe if I'm feeling it, I'll walk over a bridge just for fun to get to where I don't know. If I have a friend in Williamsburg, I'll walk there, but once you're in Manhattan, you cross the bridge to get to Manhattan. There's not really... Manhattan has no other bridges that are Manhattan, that would be silly. Might still walk to work. I was considering rebranding the podcast. I'm pretty sure I might have said this before. I was gonna call, instead of Jacob Walks Over a Bridge, it would be called Jacob Walks Between 60th and 40th Streets, where I would just have this on while walking between 60th Street and 40th Street and all of the shenanigans that went into that. Didn't think that'd be a great idea, though. Well, it just doesn't roll off the tongue, like Jacob Walks Over a Bridge. It's catchy, right? Made you interested, made you want to listen. But then there's the second factor that's going into this decision, and that the website I host this on, SoundCloud, the free option only lets you have a certain amount of minutes stored before they start to delete old recordings that you have. I'm not sure if I'm really ready to go to the paid option yet. I haven't taken off with the viral view counts. No, excuse me, a cough. Things haven't taken off the way that I thought they would. I mean, who could think that something's going to go viral? But I had maybe hopes that NPR, I don't know, someone who finds podcasts would find this one and say, hey, give this a listen. The sound quality may be awful, but he's got important things to say, and I think I do have important things to say. It's also gone bittersweet, because I think it's sad, not even bittersweet. I just got on iTunes. This is exciting. The sound quality of this might be bad, but it was good enough for iTunes. If you look up on the podcast store or whatever they call it, I am there. I'm officially I feel like a real content creator now. I'm on the podcast store, official. This is an official podcast. Podcast, TM, Harball, Jacob Albrecht. Woo! So that was exciting. This will be the last episode to appear on up there, unfortunately. So maybe one day, if I'm really feeling it, I could try a paid subscription, maybe for a little while. If I wanted to do more episodes, I'd have to figure out what I'd talk about if I'm not walking over a bridge. This is the most important thing I do all day. It's definitely, it's at least the highlight of my day. Kind of sad, but that's how it goes. That's how it goes. It has been unseasonably cold, at least in my neck of the woods in New York. I know there are many other places where things have been much warmer than normal, and that's an issue, and spotty cold fronts here or there can mislead people as to the dangers of global climate change, but this might even be a symptom, the cold weather. And I do like it cold, so this is nice. I'm not walking into work too terribly sweaty from this walk. I'm still wearing I still wear a sports shirt, and then change when I get there, but I'm sure everyone in the office is very thankful that I'm not super sweaty. And I guess I would be remiss if I didn't talk about what the content that has happened this weekend. There's a lot of good stuff I can go into. First, I'll talk about Avengers Endgame, which was a fun movie. They called it a time heist movie. It was fun. I enjoyed it. There were only maybe one or two points during the 3 hours I was there that I felt like, okay, this is going a little long. Or I was tempted to look at my watch to see how much time was left. But for the most part, it kept my attention. It was a fun movie. Though, I think the fact that they just tried to pay homage just that much to where they'd come from over the last 10 or so years, I kind of liked Infinity War better. I felt like there was more of a story there and less, let's look at everything we've done over the last 10 years. I mean, they still had a whole bunch of characters, but, you know, like, there was the final, okay. This is spoilers alert. So if you haven't seen the movie yet or just don't want to know what happens, skip to a future timestamp, I don't know. But yeah, like the final scene where all the characters come back and like they have a scene where what seems a little forced, that all of the women that they have, all the female superheroes that they have just popped up in one place at the same time to go do something. Seemed a little out of character, you know, like the Wasp, for instance. Why wasn't she still with Ant-Man? Or, you know, how did Mantis just kind of end up by herself there? It seemed like a silly situation to have them all. I mean, I get what they were doing. It's like, look at us, we're being super progressive with all the women we have playing roles, and they really haven't been that progressive with that. I mean, they only now have, out of all of their Marvel movies, 22 of them, only 1 out of 22 had a female lead character, and only really 1 had a real female supervillain. So it's definitely been a male-driven series, and you know, they really, if they had all the men they had and all the women they had, if they had a shot with just all the men all together at once, it would be a much larger crowd. That's a little silly on Marvel's part, but you know, I enjoyed it. It was a fun movie. Would I see it again? You know, after I saw Infinity War for the first time, I really thought, I want to see this again. And I thought the same would be true for Infinity War, but I don't know. I guess I don't know. Endgame is just not. Maybe I will. I've been tempted to see a movie in IMAX for a little while. You know, just the thought of seeing something on a big screen. I haven't really seen one since, I think 2012 was the last time I was on a trip. We visited a museum that had an IMAX theater, and we saw some documentary. I think I've only seen documentaries in IMAX, never anything other than that. So it'd be interesting to see what the difference is if I can keep the attention. And I think at least the special effects in Endgame make it worth the watch. It would be cool to see those on a big screen with all the good sound and whatnot. But we'll see. I've been on a matinee binge lately where, mainly because the movies are cheaper and movies are too expensive these days. It costs $15 just to see a regular movie or more. Depending on where Manhattan, forget it. Okay, I had this paused, and I don't know how long it was paused for. So I'm a little concerned that my whole discussion about Endgame didn't happen, which would be a shame. But I'll just go right into Game of Thrones, and that was something that would seem like it should have been on the big screen. Definitely would have helped to see everything. Everything was a little too dark. It'd be interesting to see how much different that would be if all the action was on the movie theater, where it's easier to see dark things than at home on your TV, especially there was one where my roommate was around with the lights on. It just made things difficult to see. And the last episode was The Longest Night. It was definitely the darkest episode. They're all just outside in the dark. Very, very little could be seen. A lot of characters at this point in the dark look alike, especially those dragons. It's really hard to keep track of them all. But it was a good episode, I'll say. Was it overhyped? I don't know. It was a good episode. Everyone seems to be saying so. I left satisfied. I probably will watch it again when my roommate's not around to interrupt it with light and sound. So that way I can really get it. Definitely turn the lights off for that one. At this point you should only be watching Game of Thrones at night in the dark. So that way you can see everything. Otherwise you're going to be very unhappy with it all. Just only 3 episodes left of Game of Thrones, and who knows when we're getting the next book. I've started to lose faith that that's ever going to come. There was a point where I took George R. R. Martin at his word that, oh yes, the books are coming. They're coming soon. I'm almost done. Here's a new chapter, almost done. And it's been years. I get it. I've written a novel and I've published it, but it's hard to write a novel and edit it, and his is obviously much longer, more complex than mine. He's writing on a DOS computer, which can't be easy. But 8-9 years, and then he's working on all these other projects, and he needs to be focusing on what his legacy is. His legacy isn't, for better or for worse, the legacy isn't the show. That's HBO. That's their legacy. He needs to be focused on the books. The books are his main deal, and that's me putting words in his mouth, and I'm sure George R. R. Martin might disagree on what I feel his legacy is, but I think the Song of Ice and Fire is definitely where he should be putting a bit of attention to. It's definitely the biggest thing he's ever done. Definitely took off with the show. The show helped, but I definitely think that he should, maybe take a year, just focus on writing that series. He's getting up there in age. Not saying, he might live to his 80s, his 90s, might even become 100, but just in case, I think maybe he should start doing a little more writing. Alright, so I'm nearing the end of the bridge, and I guess it's time to say goodbye. It's been a pleasure doing this podcast. I'm sure I'll see many of you around. Most of the people who listen to this are my friends anyway, so this is not a goodbye, but a see you later, as someone famous once said. Alright, well, on that note, good day and good night.